Hey, I'm Dr. Mark. I own Rock Springs Family Chiropractic here. I usually meet with you in person and go through your x-rays in detail and walk through all of this information in detail with you also. And I actually usually do that in a group format in my office, but several times people can't make it to our office, so I decided to make a video specifically for you. And by the way, I have been you. I've actually sat in your seat per se. I was in school. I actually wanted to be a surgeon. That was my whole path in life. And I learned the information that you're about to learn, and literally within 6 months I found myself in chiropractic school. It had a very profound effect on my life. And so what I do with every single patient in our office is walk through a little bit of education on what true health actually is. And that's, actually let me just kind of cut to the chase here. When you look at America, guys, when you look at America, our health over the last 60 years, cancer, skyrocketing, heart disease skyrocketing, diabetes, obesity, childhood illness. The #1 disease killer in kids right now from 5 to 14 is cancer. Blue Cross Blue Shield just did this study that the millennial generation, or the generation coming up, is reaching their peak health at 27 years old, meaning the major health decline now starts at 27, people with multiple chronic health illnesses. And I look at stuff like that and think, what is happening? Just some other stats to let you know where we actually are as a country. The World Health Organization, they rank the richest countries every single year on health. Where do you think America ranks with our overall health? Are we like the healthiest country, the sickest country, the bottomest country? We actually rank number 37th in the world in overall health, which is last of all industrialized countries. Right, and I think of that and think, how is that possible when we spend trillions of dollars a year on our health? There are more gyms per capita here than anywhere else. And when I actually look at medications, because the healthcare in America is based really solely on medications, Americans take 75% of all the drugs produced in the world. So we are highly medicated and we spend all the money, and yet we are last in healthcare. And eventually, we have to wake up and just kind of open our eyes and think, what is happening? Because if we keep going down the same path, we're just going to get sicker. And so in this office, we do things a little differently. And I'm going to explain exactly what health is, how it plays into your nerve system, how you can achieve this thing, okay? Because when I learned this, it completely flipped my life around. And over the last 15 years, it has completely altered my health and the health of thousands of people here in Smyrna, Tennessee. So we're going to get into this, and I'm actually going to I'm going to get a little elementary school and use my whiteboard here to help you understand this. I usually ask people, and this is going to be weird because you're sitting at home in front of your computer or on your phone. If I were to ask you, how do you know if you're healthy? So you base your health. Well, okay, a lot of people say if I feel good, if I eat right, if I exercise. I had a guy actually last week, he told me, if my blood work is normal, then I know that I'm healthy. But I want to use this one called feeling, okay? So a lot of people say if they feel good, then they're healthy. Well, I know, and you know, that you can feel perfect, go to a regular doctor's office, and find out you have stage 4 cancer. Last year in March, I had a lady come into our office. Her name was Susan. In January, so she was 61 years old, no medications, no problems to speak of, and she had perfect blood work. Her doctor said, "Wow, you are the picture of health, Susan." 1 month and 2 weeks later, she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and given 6 months to live. 2 weeks after that, she came into our office looking for alternative ways to get healthy and get her body actually back to functioning the way that it should. And I look at that and think, she thought that she was healthy because she felt great, her blood work was normal, she was doing all the right things, and yet inside she was building cancer and tumors and disease. And there is an answer for that. It's not just, health doesn't just happen to you, and it has very little to do with your genetics. Genetics plays this much role in health. It's actually your epigenetics, your lifestyle determines your gene expression. And so what I'm going to do is just get into what health really truly is. And so when you look at this chart right here, we have this 100%. When you look at the true definition of health, it says optimal function, physically, mental, emotional, not the absence of disease. It's about optimally functioning. So I look at that and think, well, that's God-given health. That is life. And if that's life, what is 0%? You better be thinking death. And so we're all on this scale somewhere. Now, the research says that you can lose down to about 60% function in your body before you ever even get your first symptom. Now think about that, because that means that something happens in your life here and you start to lose function. Your organ actually starts to die. A joint starts to fail. I have a 24-year-old kid in my office. I call him a kid because I'm not old, but I feel like, anyway, so 24 years old, okay? He's a construction worker. He looks fantastic. He's doing everything he wants to do in life. He's single and making pretty good money, so he travels and does everything he wants to do in life, okay? This day, he has no pain whatsoever, doing everything he wants. The next day, he developed a pain in his side right here, and the second day, he had to go to the emergency room. They found hundreds of stones in his gallbladder, and they had to do emergency surgery to remove his gallbladder. From feeling perfect to 2 days later having emergency surgery because he didn't understand what health was and how to do this. So when this area right here, this is where our kidney stones develop, and cancers and tumors and arthritises and disease in general, even when you feel fantastic. And then you get to that place where now you have symptoms. And so you've got neck pain, and you've got back pain and headaches and migraines and pain shooting down your butt, and your arm is tingling, and your fingers are all tingling, and your gut's off, and you're putting on weight, and your energy sucks, okay? So when we have that symptom, the current model of healthcare says, go to a doctor, they do a test, they give you results, and then what do they give you after that? A pill, a drug, a potion, something like that. And what that does is try to cover up the symptom to try to make you feel better again, but the goal actually isn't feeling good. The goal is to get you truly healthy. But that medication, it never addresses why your body even got sick to begin with. And so if all you do is cover that symptom, which direction does your health go? It goes down. And so months or years later, you get your next symptom. And so you're taking Claritin for allergies, and then you start taking ibuprofen, or you're on blood pressure medication and you go back to the doctor and they give you another medication. Now they give you cholesterol medication. And this right here is our entire healthcare system, the entire thing. And listen, I am not anti-medication. I'm not anti-medical doctor. I'm not anti-nurse. I'm not anti any of that. The model that we're in right now that made us 37th in the world in health, right? We have the worst health ever because all we're doing is focusing on symptoms and not focusing on getting you better. I have people that come in here and they're on 1, 2, 3, 4. I've had people come in here on 32 medications. His name was John. It's the most I've ever seen. 32 medications. The average drug has 70 side effects that go with it. And so eventually you just start going to, like, you go to a specialist and they give you really expensive medications and then surgeries, and that's just how our system is broken. So my job here, I don't care where you're at on this scale. I've had amazing opportunities to take care of some very high-level athletes, and we've actually, my wife and I were on the Sports Performance Council for USA Wrestling, weightlifting, and judo. We were able to go to the Rio Olympics in 2016 with them. We weren't necessarily helping them on the symptom side. We were helping them become the best version of themselves, which is really what I do in the office. It's how do we take you from where you are and give you the absolute best possible health care, the way that God intended for you to live. So I don't care where you're at here. You could have a bunch of symptoms or no medications. My job is simply to help you increase your function and then keep you from ever getting sick to begin with up here. And that's actually why I don't want to say most, that's 40 to 45% of our practice here is actually just little kids, because it's so much easier to get a kid healthy and keep them healthy throughout their life versus take an adult with bad habits and potential degeneration and arthritis in their spine. And let me be honest, when you came into our office, we did an exam and we took some x-rays, and very often I see things on your x-rays that should have been corrected 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. And I see it and I'm like, What is happening? Why has nobody ever taught you this information on how to make sure that your body's functioning properly? But it's not in the medical training. It has nothing to do with health over there. And so when you come into our office, we have to teach you these things to get you on the right path. So the question I have for everybody, and you better raise your hand. And listen, if you're sitting at home and you're not playing along with me right now, you need to. Who wants to function at 100%? Raise your hand if you want to function at 100%. You better raise your hand right now because everybody does. Now, this right here, this chart, this poster, that's the answer to my next question, okay? So, what controls all of your healing and all of your function in your body? Your nerve system. So the way that God designed your body, and I fully believe that you are created perfect. God does not make junk. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. God gave you an amazing power and an amazing ability to heal yourself. And just to make that abundantly clear, if you trip and fall and scrape your elbow or your knee, or there's a little cut on your arm, you bleed for a little bit, you scab, and then in 2 to 3 weeks, what happens to that scrape or that cut? It heals. You are self-healing. Your body is designed to heal itself. And so if you're not healing, if you're having chronic headaches and chronic problems and all these issues are popping up, or if you just reached for a coffee cup and blew your back out, it's like there's so many people that come into our office. My job is simply to find what is interfering on your health and interfering on your ability to heal and recover. Because you can heal a cut and you can heal cancer. It doesn't matter what the diagnosis is. I know that your body can heal from these things. I've seen people heal from things I've never even heard of in this office. It is so powerful when you actually address the things that God gave us. So this is how this works. God put an amazing healing power in your brain and your spinal cord. That power has to come down your spinal cord, connect with the nerve, go out to that organ in order for life to happen in that organ. So for your thyroid to secrete the right hormones, for your heart to beat, lungs to breathe, for you to digest food, for you to be able to think clearly, the nerve system has to work down and out to the organ, and then that communication happens back up to the brain to tell it what it needs. Right, that is the only reason that we actually deal with the spine and a nerve system. So many people think that chiropractic has something to do with neck pain and back pain. And let's be honest, most of you that come into our office, it's, man, I've got back pain, neck pain, I've got something going on that you thought, oh, I guess that's what chiropractic deals with. The only reason that we deal with the spine is because it's the home of your nerve system. And so I know that this guy's a little bit broken, so hang in there with me, but your spine needs to be perfectly straight like this to protect the nerves that come out the side. If one bone shifts, we damage a nerve. And when you actually do look at your own x-rays, you'll be able to very clearly see if one area has shifted. So if one bone shifts, that's only going to interfere on the nerve that goes to one part of the body. Now, to make this clear, if I were to cut the nerve to the heart, what would happen to your heart? Would it live or die? Yes, it would die. Now, if you just damage the nerve, so if the spine is damaged, and let's say that you fell off a trampoline when you were like 9 years old and you landed on your neck weird, that will damage your spine. Let's say you fell out of a tree or played any sport out there. Let's say you had a car accident or you fell over the handlebars of your bike. All of those can interfere on the spine. Or you sit at a desk for 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, or you're texting like this and your neck goes down. That damages your spine. So if one bone shifts, it affects one part of the body. But if we have something like this that's a little bit bigger, you're like probably laughing at me there, okay? Does anybody know what this is called, or do you know what this is called? Scoliosis. Scoliosis will shorten our lifespan by up to 14 years because it's now damaging so many groups of nerves, and it's been shown that scoliosis will cause organ failure faster. The problem that I see is that if you take this to an orthopedic, what will they recommend? And most of the time, it's either wait and see, cortisone shots, muscle relaxers, bracing, or surgery. And I'm not here to tell you, I'm not a medical doctor. I don't even have an opinion necessarily on what they do. What I know is what I do, and our focus isn't this necessarily. Our focus is how do we start to work the spine and remove interference from the nerve system so that we can correct this back over. And I use the word correction loosely there because if there's a full scoliosis and 50 degrees or whatever, a lot of times we're trying to maintain and hold, and chiropractic is one of the greatest things ever for that. But sometimes correction, anyway, we focus on spinal correction here, but let's talk about that individually in the office, okay? Now, way more important than a straight spine are actually the curves this direction, because now it protects the spinal cord itself. And neurologists have coined this the arc of life. You have to have a 45-degree curve in your neck. If we lose that curve, that's actually been shown to take up to 20 years off of life expectancy because now it compresses the spinal cord. And so if you have damage on your spinal cord up here, what is that actually going to affect in your body? Everything, because now the brain can't get messages through here at all. And so this alone could be the cause of back pain. It could be the cause of digestive problems, thyroid problems. It could be the cause of every possible dysfunction in your body because the brain's not able to communicate through the spinal cord. Now, I'm going to show you what that looks like on an x-ray. Okay, so when you look at a normal, healthy curve in the neck, this is the jawbone and this is the back of the head. So if you're looking at me, you're right here facing this direction. What you want to see on your x-rays is a 45-degree curve. On your x-rays, you'll see a number /45 because I want you to know exactly where your health is. And truly, who is responsible for your health? You are. I'm not responsible. That's why I'm teaching this, to make sure that you fully understand how to take care of your own body, right? So we want to see that nice curve. That's a bone. Between them is a disc space. Bone, disc, bone, disc, bone, disc. If we have healthy disc spaces, there's going to be a healthier nerve that exit out that area. If you see degenerative discs, that means that that nerve is being compressed, and wherever that nerve controls, whatever organ that controls, or muscle that controls, or joint that controls, that part of the body is going down a degenerative pathway, which means that that is dying. That is a part of your body that isn't functioning anymore. Now, this top section here, this top bone is called the atlas. I call it your airplane though, because let's be honest, it kind of looks like a plane. This is the cockpit, that's the tail. Your airplane should angle up kind of like a plane taking off. And if the airplane is crashing, or if it's up like a rocket ship in relation to C2, it's going to compress your brainstem that sits right there. Now, if you look down here, your brainstem is this top section, and that is your autonomic nerve system. I call it your automatic nerve system because it controls everything that you don't actually think about, meaning your mood, your sleep, your concentration, focus, heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, digestion, reproduction. All of that's controlled directly from your brainstem right here. And so that needs to angle at 18 degrees. And so on your x-rays, when you look at them, you'll see exactly what angle you're at, because very often that's the first place we have to fix to get your body to heal the way that God intended. And so I'm going to take this x-ray and face it this direction. This is some research that came out in I believe it was 1991, but when I learned this, this is what took me out of school to be a surgeon and into chiropractic, because I realized that if people would truly understand this and put it into action, it would completely alter your life and the lives of your loved ones. So these are x-rays and then basically an MRI next to it. And so this is of the neck now facing this direction. That's the spinal cord coming right up to the brainstem. If I were to cut the head off and look down, this is actually what you'd see. So that's the bone around a nice fat spinal cord. All of your life flows through the spinal cord. Now, if we lose the curve, and this is drastic because it's a 100% loss. So if we lose the curvature in the neck, with an abnormal curve, they say the spinal cord stretches and twists like a rubber band, and so it thins out. So with an abnormal curve, this is actually what your spinal cord now looks like. Now, who do you think gets sick first? The person on the left or the person on the right? You better have said this person because they are no longer healing. Now, this is where it gets actually really powerful. What if this person here exercises every day? They eat all the kale, like they have perfect nutrition. They are super positive and happy to be around and love Jesus, right? And this person is pissed off all the time and smokes smokes 2 packs a day, drinks whiskey every night, is just angry and nobody likes being around him. But who still gets sick first? Your healthy friend, the one that's going to the gym and has abs, and yet they still end up with some kind of weird diagnosis or disease or are dealing with some kind of pain or discomfort that you're not. So your nerve system supersedes these other factors in life. And so if you're eating perfectly and not getting better, we've got to fix the nerve system. This is just simply how life works. Now, if this guy up here in phase 1 degeneration, let's say that they have headaches and all they do is take ibuprofen, how many ibuprofen does it take to fix this? It will never fix. As a matter of fact, no one has ever had a symptom because of a lack of medication, meaning that you've never had a headache because you were deficient in ibuprofen. You have never had high blood pressure because you were deficient in lisinopril. You've never had high cholesterol because you're deficient in a statin. It doesn't work like that. So the drug is never the answer because it never fixes anything in the body. Now, this person, if all they do is medicate this, do you think it gets better or gets worse? It's going to get worse over years, and we're going to go from phase 1 over to phase 2, and that's about a 15-year process usually. Now you can see this white, that's a healthy disc. This is a healthy disc. But what do you see happening with these bottom 3 here? Rotting, degenerative, deterioration. There's lots of words you can use there. Medicine is going to come along and call that arthritis or degenerative disc disease, and they're going to come along and say, like, you now have a diagnosis. You now have a disease. And I just want to, this is how I think about things, okay? There's 2 very, very clear healthcare systems in America right now. We've got healthcare over here. I'm just going to call it healthcare. And then we have the medical industrial complex. And I don't think I'm like some mean, angry person. This is just what happens. The more diagnoses they can create on this side over here, the more drugs they can produce, the more shots, surgeries, antidepressants they can give. And so every year they create more diagnoses. And most recently, well, not most recently, but they created one recently called gaming disorder. Now, this is addiction to video games, okay? And listen, this irritates me at like the soul level, because think about what this is telling a kid. I am so infuriated sometimes with like the idea of a disorder with somebody. So think about this, because this is my terminology. Whoops, I'm hitting the mic here. So this is my terminology, but this is what a psychiatrist would be telling a kid, right? So little Jimmy over here is addicted to video games, and then you come along and say, listen, Jimmy, God screwed up on you. Your brain is damaged. You have gaming disorder. There's nothing you can do about it. You need my antipsychotic medication, antidepressant, whatever they give. And if that doesn't infuriate you, because listen, what does little Jimmy need to do? Stop playing video games, go out and dig a hole. And I'm not, I get, right now in our culture, we've got usually both parents are working, and so kids can sometimes be a little bit neglected, and so it's like, hey, just go watch TV, play video games, whatever. And so, yes, we can get addicted to these things, but ultimately, is that a disorder? Is that a disorder? And the answer is a profound no. And so, but in medicine, it's all about the diagnosis. In healthcare, it's all about, well, what is the body deficient in, or what are you toxic in? And so in my world over here, I think if you have a plant at home and your plant is wilting, what does your plant need? Water, nutrients, sunlight, right? You would never think the medication side necessarily. You think like, okay, I just put some water in my plant. If your body is wilting and it's not giving you what it needs and it's having some problems, okay? We have developed, I'm going to move this poster here because I have this on the wall. Does this still work? What we've developed in Max Living is the 5 essentials of health. And what we've looked at is like, so what does a body need to be healthy? And the answer is pretty simple. If you're lacking nerve supply, then we need to fix your spine with chiropractic care, and not not normal chiropractic care that's, hey, come in, put some heating pads on you, some electrical stimulation, crack your neck a couple times, put you on a rolly bed and say, come back when you hurt again. That's not the type of chiropractic care that we do. That is, I want to say, like, I don't want to use the word traditional, but that's a lot of chiropractic. What we focus on here is structural correction to remove interference to allow you to reach your God-given potential. It's just different care, okay? We need to fix the nerve system to make sure you've got power in your body. Then, if you eat McDonald's every day and you're eating artificial food that's not even real, it's going to cause problems. So you need real food going in your body, and that's where nutrition comes into play big time. That's also where our mindset comes in, because our mindset is so crucial. And I see this clinically every single day, that people with resentment in their life and unforgiveness and old PTSDs, every single one of us has post-traumatic stresses. You've been abused in some possible way. Mom, dad didn't fulfill some love niche in your life that you needed filled, and you've got traumas for that. And we have to learn to give that away. And quite frankly, I know that I'm speaking to a camera right now, but I'm speaking to you who's actually watching this. God loves you so much, and you need to understand that we're fighting spiritual battles sometimes. And so I get that you have like back pain or neck pain or pain coming down your arm, but ultimately fixing the mindset is the key to health, because we need to forgive those that have harmed us or done us wrong, and then recognize who and whose you are from a spiritual level, that Jesus came for you. And so that is a huge piece of health, not just on the spiritual side and your eternal salvation, but really, truly, like that is how your body heals. You have a power in you that heals you, and we've got to release that through your mindset. Right, and then oxygen and exercise, and then minimizing toxins down here. We are the most toxic culture, and I'm not just talking about like, oh, there's air pollution or whatever, but like your detergents, your deodorants. I think I did detergent for this. Your deodorant, your detergents, your toothbrushes, shampoo, conditioner, toothpastes, all the toxicities associated directly interfere with nerve conductivity and nerve health. And so in order to get you truly healthy, we need to address all 5 essentials, not just one. And so when medicine comes along and says, you have arthritis, you have anemia, you have infertility, you have cancer, whatever the thing is, that's a diagnosis, but that's a man-made creation. We need to come over here and recognize that your body is so much higher than that, and you can heal from any of these things. I watch it happen every single day, and across our network, we watch it throughout the entire country. It is proven to work to get your body to heal properly. So I'm going to bring this back over. And so when we look at, if you're right here in phase 2, shoot, let's get you healthy. And because if we don't fix it there, if you decide, oh, I don't really want to correct that, it's just going to get worse over time, and then we move to phase 3. And this is where I see very few people truly in phase 3, because every single level is deteriorating. And when you actually look at the spinal cord, now it's all black and kind of dead in here. This one's at least still white. These people are very often already in nursing home situations or have lost a lot of function and are being basically kept alive on medication. So, diapers, and it's like, that's when nobody wants to end up there. And if you've had, I watched my grandfather just go through this late stage Alzheimer's, forgetting who he was, forgetting who we were, not able to take care of himself in any capacity. I don't want to see anybody into that world. And it's not an age thing. It's not an age thing. It's a how you take care of your temple thing. Okay, so the longer that you have been going this direction, the harder it is to bring you back that way, which is one of the reasons we take care of so many kids. The earlier that we find problems developing, the easier it is to correct. It's just simple as that. So I'm going to go over 2 different examples. I'm going to go over one lady that's in phase 1 and one is in phase 2, so that you can understand the corrective process for you. And also just understand that their stories are powerful. It's just amazing what's actually happened here. So this first lady, she was 31. This is Amy. She was 31 when she came into our office. She had neck pain. It had been going on for many years, but she was finally like, okay, I think I need to do something about this. And so she ventured in, and this lady was terrified to come to a chiropractor. I don't know if it was because she watched YouTube videos or her friends told her like, we're gonna snap her neck and kill her or something like that. But she came in here skeptical and terrified, and that is okay. We want you to come in however you feel, okay? But this is where I get to quiz you now, okay? Does she have a 45-degree curve in her neck? No. Look at that. You're a doctor, okay? Now, she's lost 80% of the curve that should be in her neck. So what does her spinal cord now look like? Is it fat and healthy, or is it stretched and damaged? It's stretched and damaged. And then you look at her atlas, her airplane bone. Is it taking off? No. Hers is crashing, which is going to compress her brainstem right here. So now, not knowing anything else about this woman, you know that her brain is not connecting to her body. She could be 100 pounds overweight, she could be on 14 medications, or she could be an Olympic athlete. You know now that her body is building sickness and disease. Okay, now, 3 months prior to her coming into our office, she was concerned about the health of her thyroid, actually, and so she got all this blood work done, and the doctor said, man, your blood work is perfect, everything is good. It's definitely not that, right? And when I look at this, so if you actually go back to this nerve system chart, if you lose the curve in the neck, you're going to damage these nerves that go into the thyroid. And that's going to create dysfunction and dis-ease into that organ. And I showed her on the x-ray, you have damage here, so right there, this is actually thyroid nodules, tumors, or calcification that's developed on that organ, and that takes 10 to 15 years to develop. And so we have a woman that comes in here, perfect blood work, thinks she's perfectly fine, and yet I can see it on the x-ray. And very often, so x-rays sometimes tell you things that are developing in your body, and now it gives us a chance to get in front of it where we can correct you before you actually get that full diagnosis or before it shows up in your blood. Because every medical test, it only tells you you have disease after you already have it. We're on the front side of it sometimes. We can see things before it comes up. So we put Amy through a correct, actually what happened was, we took these, I sat down with her and her husband, and we said, listen, Amy, this is definitely what's causing your neck pain, but it's also leading to other diseases in your body that I'm more worried about, and we need to correct this thing now. And really, truly, do we need to, or does she need to correct this thing? It's on you. I'm going to be your guide, your leader, but ultimately, you're the hero that's going to fix this. You're the one that's going to heal this. So when she would come in here, she would actually do our traction and our wobble, and you've probably seen these at times you've been in our office, but the traction and the wobble work our spine here, and then we wobble the spine here, which when we're doing active traction like this, it's pumping fluid into your discs, and so nutrients and oxygen come in and waste goes out of that disc. And they've actually been able to show that active traction done here in the office, but really done at home every day. So you actually get a home care kit from our office so that you can start working your spine on a daily basis. So we do traction and wobble before an adjustment. Now, the way that we adjust in this office is based on your x-rays, and it is structural correction. So both my wife and I are certified in level 2 spinal correction, which doesn't really mean anything for you, but it just means that we get results faster than most people, okay? If I adjust you and send you right back to your house, your job, probably what caused your spine condition to begin with, right? What do you think happens to your spine? It's just going to go right back to where it was. And so what we've done 10 years ago, we implemented the vibration plates and the head weights. And actually, let me grab one. So the head weights here go on our head, and what it does is basically fix, most of America is here, like this is America, right? So we need to bring our pelvis back and up, our chest up, and our head back to get us back into a good posture. And so we use head weights after an adjustment to work your spine and work the muscles to help hold that adjustment. Then it's just about frequency. Amy was coming here 3 times a week for 2 months. We base that really on what your x-rays show, but if we need structural correction, we need frequency. And so 3 times a week is a minimum when we need structural correction. She was coming 3 times a week for 2 months, and then we brought her down in frequency. This was 2.5 months into care. She came into our office, and she said, hey, doc, I need to talk to you. I pulled her aside into our exam room, and she said, listen, doc, my husband and I are pregnant. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, chiropractic and pregnancy is the greatest thing in the world. It helps with your pelvis, birth, like, it helps with everything. And she was like, no, you don't understand. So her and her husband have been trying to have a kid for 8 years. They'd spent over $20,000 on all these fertility treatments, all this stuff. And she looked at me and she said, "This is the only thing I've changed. Could this have done something?" And I just explained to her again, I don't have a fertility adjustment, right? But I also don't have a neck pain adjustment or a back pain adjustment. Dr. Mark, I can't heal you. You need to understand this. Dr. Liz, she can't heal you. We make an adjustment to remove interference from the nerve system to allow you to heal at a higher level. So if you look at the function chart again, an adjustment just simply brings you back up the function chart. I can't heal you, you are the healer. So I don't take credit for that. I always say we move a bone and God does the healing, because I can't heal your body. God does, or the power that He put in you does. So we took care of her through her entire pregnancy. I've actually been adjusting her little girl since birth, just like I've adjusted my 2 daughters since birth. And we took this picture after she had given birth. So this is right at 1 year. So this is about 12 months. And so you can see the difference in her spine here, where she went from 9 degrees, and you can see that curve actually coming back here at 30. And then you can look at her airplane. That has now lifted up, taking pressure off her brainstem, allowing the brain to now communicate to her body at a higher level. That's why her body was able to heal the way that it did. Now, I personally have never seen an adult get back to like perfect 100% spinal health. I haven't seen it. We want to get you as close to 100% as possible. I have seen several kids get like perfect correction like that, but adults, we're trying to correct as much as we can and then hold that correction and maintain that for really as long as you want to be healthy. So her and her daughter have been amazing patients in our office now for 3.5 years. They come on a maintenance basis and doing absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. Now, if she decided either to not correct her spine, or if she just simply didn't even know about this, what would have happened to her health? Would it have gotten better or worse? Worse. And so she would actually progress into that phase 2 realm. So I wanted to give you a phase 2 example. This is Anne. Anne came into our office. Actually, I met her in our parking lot at 51 years old. And if you look at her spine, she had a positive curve here. So that's a good disc, and a good disc. But right there in the middle of her spine, she had some kind of whiplash trauma where now her neck measures at -6. And when you look at this, she's got degeneration here, and then these big bone spurs that are coming out, actually growing together like that, clawing out. She asked me when she came in about how long that had been going on. That's about 40 years of degeneration. So she's 51 when I met her. So when did her problem actually start? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So she had some kind of injury when she was a little girl that nobody ever even looked at until now she comes into our office. Now, and the reason I started talking about this story is because some of you, it's going to be almost too much because she had too much stuff going on, but her story is so powerful. And I share this because I just want you to get healthy so much, and her story just, it's moving. It's moving to me also. So I met her in the parking lot at one of our events, and she unloaded her story on me. She was seemingly perfectly healthy until she turned 30. Then she started to get headaches. She was doing Tylenol, ibuprofen. Her headaches turned into full-blown migraines. If you've ever had a migraine, this will make sense to you. If not, you probably won't even be able to comprehend what happened with that. These were the worst I've ever seen. When she would get a migraine, it would knock her out for like 4 days straight. I mean, no light, no sound, no going to work during that time. And she had one son at home, Shiloh, who she could barely be a mom with, couldn't even get on the ground to play with him because the pressure changes would make her head hurt so bad. She was on all these different medications. Actually, what happened was that the hospital in town here sent her to Mayo Clinic twice because she lost 90% of the vision in her left eye due to intraocular pressure. So she was going blind in her eye because her migraines were so bad. Eventually, she put on, Mayo Clinic was doing really experimental medications for her. She put on 80 pounds in a 6-month period, and one of her surgeons said, "Your thyroid is dead." Now, just to highlight this again, that's C2, C3, C4, C5. Right here, those nerves go right into that organ. And so for 40 years, right, she's had damage. So when we have damage on a nerve, it is killing the organ or the joint or the muscle. And so that surgeon, what they did was take the thyroid out. But if you leave the damage back here, what's going to happen? You're going to get the next disease, esophageal cancer or whatever the next disease is. So it's just, oh man. So they put her on levothyroxine and Synthroid. Then her digestive system, she would have diarrhea for days and then constipation for weeks sometimes, where, I mean, it would be painful for her. And one doctor gave her tramadol, which is a pretty hardcore pain medication, and one of the side effects of that is constipation. So you can see she's just in this medical merry-go-round. The last diagnosis she was given was Crohn's disease, and they call it an incurable genetic disease, just to make you feel completely helpless and worthless. And so they give you a medication that's $500 a month is what she was taking. When Ann came into our office, she was on 14 different medications, spending $1,600 a month on medications. That's almost $20,000 a year, and it was near bankrupting her. She was in a very bad spot, and she was unloading this in the parking lot to me. And I was like, Ann, you need to get into my office. And she said, well, you're a chiropractor. I've been going to chiropractors for most of my life. What are you going to do different? And I was like, you've been going to chiropractors? And come to find out, she wasn't actually going to corrective chiropractors. What she was doing was going when she hurt. So when she had pain, she would go to an office and get adjusted, and her pain might go away, but it never actually fixed the true problem. And very often I see people come from all over the place that have been to 4, 5, 6, 11 chiropractors, and here is where they finally actually get results because we're addressing the proper things. Right, so she came in the office, we took this x-ray, I sat down with her, and I was like, Ann, listen, your nerve system is decaying. That's what you have to work on to get better. And she looked at me, and I was expecting her to be more relieved or something, and she was pissed off, like irate. She was angry. And I was like, whoa. And what she was saying was, she said, I've been to the best of the best in medical, and not a single doctor even looked at my nerve system. She had cameras shoved up her butt. She had stool samples, blood samples, urine tests, all the tests, and not a single doctor even looked at the system that controls everything. And she was like, how is that possible? And it's just different trainings. The medical community isn't trained in health, they're trained in medications, and there's a need for that in the emergency room. But chronically, that's where we get into problems. So we put Ann through a corrective process. I actually scheduled her for 3 times a week for 3 months. In 2 weeks of adjustments, she never had another migraine. She had 2 more headaches that year, but never another full-blown migraine, and that alone was life-transforming for her enough. And let me just say this also, because I have very often, people come into our office and they heal rapidly from their symptoms. I mean, 1, 2, 3 adjustments. But I have just as many people take a long time to heal. I don't have a timeline on when your symptoms are going to go away. What I know is, as we start to address the cause and fix the nerve system, symptoms go away. Very frequently, actually, one of the top reasons people leave our office is that their pain is gone, their symptoms are gone. But being pain-free or your symptom gone and correcting the actual cause are 2 very different things. So 2 weeks into care, she never had another migraine, which is really powerful. Now, we took care of her 3 times a week, 3 months. That's 36 visits, and then I took a new x-ray. What do you think her new x-ray looked like? I know that you just said better, and that's why. This is a trick question. Right, so I'm going to go back to my board here, and I just want to show you. So something happened when she was a little girl, okay? And she's been degenerating for 40 years. At the time of making this video, I'm 37 years old. So longer than longer than I've been alive, she's been degenerating. So just think about that. Then we start addressing the actual culprit, like the cause down here. We don't just magically get better like that. It takes time and energy. First, we've got to even stop the bad, and then we have to start to bring things back up. So very often, the spine takes time to heal. And yet I know that we live in like this, I want my food now, deliver it to me now. That's not how health works. That what you put into your health is what you're going to get out. So if you've been diseased for a long time, it's going to take time to actually correct things back over. We've gotten really good recently, so we're some of the best at this, but ultimately, it does simply take time. So her first re-x-ray, 0 change on her spine. 0 after 36 adjustments. But symptomatically, she was this new person. Her face changed. She could light up. Like, it was absolutely amazing. At the end of that year, she brought in 13 of her 14 medications and threw it in our drug freedom wall, which I'm staring at behind the camera, but you've seen in the office. And listen, I have never ever taken anybody off of a medication. That is not my job. I am not a medical doctor. My job is to help you produce health, and then when you're healthy, then you go back to your doctor and they can take you off these things. But she was off of 13 of her 14 medications. She was still on a Synthroid because she didn't have a thyroid at all. But this was her post X-ray. This is actually her 18-month X-ray. So 18 months. She saw that curve actually come back in. Even with 40 years of degeneration, we were still able to start to see that thing come back. And that is how we stop degeneration process from continuing and actually see things correct like that. And it's so powerful to watch. Now, the big question is, how long does Ann want to be healthy? And you better be thinking, well, forever, obviously. She's been in the office now for 6.5 years. She comes once a week and maintains her health. And actually, she really uses us as her primary care doctors now, just because of her disgust for the system. But ultimately, that's when she comes in, she's always going to have things pop up. She still has degeneration. So when she does have stuff pop up, instead of thinking what drug, we generally think like, okay, let's figure this thing out. And so we've actually started doing a lot of nutritional testing in the office. Because it helps us determine exactly what nutrition you need, what supplements you need, or what we need to do to move you forward in a better direction. So now, Ann, oh, this is so good because this was a week and a half into her care. She was laying on the table. I had my hands on her, and I was about to adjust her, and I was like, oh my gosh, Ann, I forgot. We need to get your son Shiloh checked. We need to get his spine checked and see what's going on. And she was laying on the table, and she looked up, and she said, what do you mean? He's 11. Why would a kid get adjusted? And I was like, Ann, when did your problems start? Like when you were a kid. So let's get him in here and get him checked and see what's going on. And so we brought Shiloh in here, 11 years old. He was already on 3 medications, 2 inhalers, and a drug called Singular for allergies. Many of you have heard of Singular, but this is what irritates me. And the FDA has classified Singular as a black box warning medication for causing mental health problems, including homicidal and suicidal thoughts. So just think about this for just a moment with me. How did we allow this to happen in culture where we have a parent that cares about her kid, so she takes him to a pediatrician who's training his medication, and they say, ooh, they have allergies. Here is Singular. And we take it without thinking. We don't research it. We don't look at it. The doctor recommended it, so I'm going to take it. And so we trade allergies, and that drug might work to get rid of his allergies, but it also might cause him to start thinking about committing suicide, hanging himself in his closet, cutting his wrists, or stabbing his parents. What in the world? When you look at suicide, it's one of the top 10 causes of death in our country. How are we allowing this to happen? I just wrote a newsletter. I don't know when you're going to watch this, but 2 weeks ago from when I recorded this, I just wrote a newsletter on the 200 FDA-approved medications that cause depression and suicidal thoughts. Why are we allowing this to happen as a culture? Like that is not okay. Look at this. This is his X-ray. That's not his X-ray. This is his X-ray. So this is Shiloh. Shiloh was 11 years old when he came into our office, and he had a loss of curve. That's easy to see. And then look at his airplane. It's pushed directly into his brainstem. And when you look at the nerve chart, that nerve goes directly into his sinuses, which is a good likelihood that that's actually what's causing his allergies. And the vagus nerve here goes into the that's what controls respiration. So his problem isn't that he needs medications. His problem is that he needs to fix the pressure here to allow God's power to get back to his body. So we put him through a corrective process. This was 2 months of care, 2 months. And his spine came back into a near perfect curve also. And now he gets off all of his medications also. That's actually in the middle of our drug freedom right now is his albuterol. So now we have a mother and a son that can actually go and live free, knowing the truth about health. Like, that is so powerful. That's what our whole office stands for. It's that you and your family can get not just free from symptoms, but free from disease and go live an amazing, healthy life. Like, that's what I want for you. Listen, I have families in here with 12 kids, 8 kids, 7 kids. That's what we exist for, is to help families live a completely different life. Yes, I understand it starts with, like, you've got shoulder pain and neck pain and all. We need to help you get out of that, but ultimately, it's then we need to get you to truly express life on this planet. Guys, I get so excited about this, and I'm so excited for you and the future of your health, but we've got to start. Okay, so let me go back just a little bit. I want to cover something with Ann. She needed 80 visits in our office that first year, 80 adjustments. Now, 80 visits can quickly get cost up higher, and so I want to cover how we make care affordable for our families in here, but for you also as an individual. Actually, 6 years ago, this was 6.5 years ago, at that time we were doing a $60 adjustment and $30 for the exercises that we did in the office. So it was actually $90 a visit. Times 80 for Ann, that's upwards of $7,000. Plus she needed a home care kit and she wanted some help on nutritional testing. Ann put about $10,000, actually just under $10,000 into her health that year. Now for her, putting that money into her health, was that worth it? She got her vision back. She reversed Crohn's disease. She got off of her medications. It was absolutely amazing what happened with her. And the answer is a resounding, of course, health is priceless. But I also recognized, wait, hold on here. I want to be able to take care of the average family coming in here. And so we reorganized our office, and I've done 3 main things to help out on cost in today's world now. So number 1 is our office is not a pay-per-visit office. That's not how we work. Quite frankly, I'm humbled so much to even own this place. God has blessed our office so much. We're able to help a lot of people. I cannot have people up to our desk every single time they're in the office. I would have to hire probably 3 more people to even allow that to happen. And what we do is actually pass those savings on to you. So we do care plans in our office. Care plans allow us to do a couple things. Legally, we're allowed to offer an administrative discount if you just paid off the plan. So you save money if you just pay it off. Otherwise, we do monthly options to help you out on cost. Okay, so if you need 4 times a week or 3 times a week here, but once a week down here, we just spread those out over monthly so we can get lower monthly payments, but still get you amazing corrective care and get your health on track. Okay. It also gets a commitment from you for your health, because sometimes it takes time to get results, and we need you to be committed in the long term to actually get results. The second thing is actually about family members, okay? Now, when would you want to know if there was damage on a nerve going to your family member's heart? And if you didn't say immediately or yesterday, then go back and start the video over, okay? I personally believe that every single person should get an x-ray of their spine to see what is happening. I believe that with everything in me. And I never want cost to be a reason that somebody doesn't get evaluated. And so currently right now, in the first 2 weeks of care, so if you start care in our office, in the first 2 weeks of care, we will check all of your family members at no charge. I don't charge you for the exam, and I don't charge you for the x-rays. I just want you to know what's happening with your family. Our family plans in here are tiered down very substantially in pricing, okay? But I want you to know that we are committed to not just you, but your family. And I usually say that's for your immediate family that are living in your house, right? So if parents or whatever, they can pay for an exam and x-rays. But if you've got kids, the reason we can take care of large families is because we make it very affordable for them. I'm one of 5 kids. I couldn't, it's like, I would want this opportunity for my own family, and so I offer it for your family, okay? The third thing that helps out on cost is a little bit weird for people sometimes, but if I asked you, does your insurance company care about your health? What would you say? And it would be, no, of course your insurance company is a for-profit, for-shareholder or organization. So they actually make money by not paying for you. But what happens with insurance, because about 95% of our office is just cash-based. We don't really take insurance. Everything is coded and billed properly so that you can request bills, and if you want to send it to your insurance, you can. But it's most people don't even use it because our costs are better than their plans anyway. So this is actually, I'm going to just erase a little bit here. Most people are spending about $300 a month for health insurance, okay? So, oh, that's red. Let's use black here. So $300 a month, that is $3,600. I'll put the comma in the wrong place. $3,600 a year that you're spending just to carry around their card, okay? Most people have about a $2,000 deductible, right? So that's $5,600 that you're spending out of pocket before they'll even look at 80% of whatever, or what your plan is, 70%, 80%, 90%, all of you have different plans. But so you're having to spend a crazy amount of money just to then have them cover a small percentage. And in chiropractic, so this isn't in chiropractic, but this is Medicare guidelines. Medicare guidelines state that a treatment plan that seeks to prevent disease, promote health, and prolong and enhance the quality of life is deemed not medically necessary. So insurance has this term medical necessity. And so based on what you have going on, insurance might only allow us to bill 9 visits or 12 visits, even though they might tell you, oh, you've got 20 visits or 30 visits. Well, that's not what medically necessary is. And so they'll only allow us to bill, let's say, 9 visits. And so that's not even going to come close to your deductible. And so when we had to do $90 a visit, that was actually insurance pricing right there. And so about 3 years ago, at the time of recording this, we changed everything. I stopped signing contracts with insurance companies. I got out of network with almost all of them. And what we did was lower our adjustment fee from 60 to 50, and I stopped charging for the exercises we do in the office. And so I thought it was fair to just say, you know what, to come in to get adjusted and use our stuff, it's $50. And so we just made a flat $50 fee. And listen, this is May of 2023. I'm recording this right now, and we're in the middle of insane inflation, and I've kept everything, so if you're watching this and we've had to go up to 52 or 53 or 55, just understand that I've tried really hard to keep it like it is, but if you have to do a little more, that's where we're at in that season. So it's basically $50 to come in here. Our corrective plans now range from 28 to 44 visits. You'll have x-rays and re-exams and a home care kit built into that plan. Right, so and that'll be about 4 to 5 months based on what you actually need. So to give you an idea of your care plan, okay? Some of you, I have found things either in your exam or x-rays where you need some extra support. And so I might have added in a supplement bundle, maybe for blood sugar control or gut health or thyroid or cardiovascular health. We've been doing this a while. We've taken care of many thousands of people. I have a very good idea of what you need, but if you don't want that right now, it is optional. Just take it out of your care plan when you come back in and we go over your actual care plan, okay? My wife and I have created an amazing online health academy where it walks you through every single month exactly how to transform your life and live an anti-inflammatory life. Our nutrition webinars, detox webinars, shopping tour guides, product swap guides for toxicity, everything is on there. Our workouts, I have so much stuff on there, it would be a whole separate video and everything. But if you want that as an option, it's on your care plans when you come in to go over those, okay? The very last thing I want to cover with you. Don't look at this green one. I want you to focus on this one. Does this look good or bad? It just simply looks bad, right? So when you look at your x-rays, when you do come back into the office, you're going to be looking at your right side and your left side. If your pelvis isn't straight across, you're going to have 2 yellow lines drawn across it. This person, their pelvis shifted like this, and so their spine has developed these curves. That's going to compress these nerves that go down the legs, also into the colon, the reproductive system, the prostate in men. These nerves go into the kidneys, also into the adrenals and the bladder, which can create all sorts of different issues. And then up here, that goes more into like the stomach, which might create acid reflux type symptoms. Or this person has no symptoms yet. And very often when you come in to go over your x-rays, you see things on there that you had no idea were even there because you haven't gotten to pain yet, right? You just haven't gotten down to the symptom part yet, okay? Now, there's 3 things I ask every single person that comes into our office. Number 1, be committed to the care. Committed people get amazing results, and wishy-washy people that miss half their visits and don't engage into the office usually get frustration, and then it's mutual. And I'm telling you, I am a results-driven person. I love watching people heal, and I want you to be the next person that I talk about with an amazing story. The second thing is family members. Get them in here, get them checked. If you have family members in other parts of the country, I don't care where they are, I will find a good office for them to get into. I have cousins all over the country. I have found offices for them to get into. If you have family, I think that's the most important thing. Teach them health and get them into an office. And then the third thing before I let you go, this business of ours is so much more than a business. This is our mission. It is exactly what God put us here for. I constantly think about this hospital down the road from us, and I'm telling you, their beds are always full, their parking lot's always full, and to me, all that means is that the health of our town is bad, it's sick, and we need to do something about it. And so this office exists to get so many people healthy, so many people living their God-given potential that they actually lose business. Keep the emergency wing open, obviously, but if they're losing business, maybe at some point in the future, and I know this is weird, but maybe at some point in the future, we can buy the hospital and turn it into a huge health center where we can actually get everybody truly healthy. Like, that's my vision for this town. I have no idea if that'll ever come to fruition. I have no idea, but I want you on mission with us. And so if you're in this office, I hope that you understand what we're about. I hope that you understand that, yes, I want you out of pain and living your best life, but I really want you on mission with us. And that means you know people that I have never met before, and they are never going to hear about the trueness of health unless you speak up and tell them to get into an office either in here or an office like ours across the country. So if you were here, I would have you break off into a room. When you get in for your next appointment, I will go through your x-rays, or my wife will go through your x-rays in detail, answer any questions, and go over your care plan. If you need to be here 2, 3, 4 times a week, each visit in our office is about 15 to 20 minutes. You come in, do your exercises, get adjusted, head weight, and then you're out with your normal life, okay? It is an absolute honor to take care of you in the office. I do not take that lightly. Health is your greatest asset, and if you trust us with that, I don't take that lightly. And so we do push you hard to be on health. So look forward to seeing you in the office to go over your x-rays.